Hi guys, this is Annie. I hope you all are doing great today. And I have this turquoise and nude mani for you, so let's begin. And these are the items that I will be using in today's manicure, and they will also be listed in the description box for you, but I'll briefly go through them as I do. So starting from my right, I have my pure acetone, my little lint roller, my nail polishes that I've used, a little bit of jewels, some cotton, my wax pencil, a cleanup brush, and since I am using latex, I have my little tweezer, my stamper and scraper, and my 2 stamping plates, and that's it. That's all we're gonna need for this manicure, so let's get started. Alright my loves, so I have already gone ahead and got started on my manicure as you saw. For my base color, I used my nude color. It is number 458C Yo Soy, and it's by Wet n Wild. And like I said, it is a nude color, more of a beige kind of looking thing, but it looks really great with the stamping polish that I'll be using tonight. And for the stamping color, I am actually using a Sally Hansen Insta-Dri color to stamp with, and that's number 437, and it's called Navy Fleet. And it's more of a bluish color, but there's a hint of green in there, so I guess it's like a dark turquoise, if that makes sense. But anyway, this stamps really well, and that's what I'll be using for the images that I pulled out. And for the stamping plates, I am using my Tian Xin number 19 plate, which is a dupe from the Moyou bridal collection, and this would be plate number 7. And I will also be using my Born Pretty stamping plate number L009, and I'll be taking part of the images out from here, which is just a tiny little flower on top. So let's begin with the stamping. So the first image I'm going to pull out is this, and then as you can see, I've already gone ahead and applied the latex for easier cleanup. And I'll be using my transparent stamper so we can have the images lined up pretty well. And this is not a very hard manicure to do. I am not using guides for the tip that you see here, so we'll be hand painting those tonight. Just the tips, so that shouldn't be very difficult. So here we go. Let's pull. I'm not doing the top part of this image because I don't really necessarily need it. Matter of fact, yeah, let's just do the whole thing. It will be covered. So the only thing you have to know is if you're working with the Insta-Dri polish, or I should say the regular Insta-Dri polish, you just have to work a little faster because it is not a stamping polish. So there we have it. It's nice and clear. And I'm putting the top part on the tip of my nail, as you can see here. So line it up and press down and roll on. And that one is done. So we're going to also do that for the thumb, which is here. And let's do that right away since we're at it. Clean that stamping plate out. Once we apply the top coat, which is the matte top coat, it's going to start coming through a little better. Right now it looks very thin. It doesn't look like that, but the matte top coat is going to bring that out. Same image for the thumb. Here it is. And again, we'll just line that up. I'm actually rolling this one on, as you can see. And that's on. So let's move on to the next step, which is getting the image on this nail, and that's pretty simple. That one we're going to pull out of the Born Pretty stamping plate. Let me just clean this up before we move on so that doesn't get set in there too badly. And I'm only taking a part of the images on this plate, this tiny little one here, which is the flower. You could see that very well. So we're going to pull that out and use that for the index finger, and I've done the same design on the thumb as I did on the ring finger, and I am doing the same design on the index as I did with the pinky finger. We're just adding on a little bit more to the index finger, that's all. There it is. And I'm just going to pull out the extra stuff that I don't need. So you can get the tape or your lint brush, roller as I call it. But there it is. It's hard to see because it's so light. But I am not putting it halfway on the nail. I'm actually putting it a little bit below the halfway point because we're going to put a green tip on that. So to the bottom part, more or less. Like that. So that's on. And now let's go ahead and start working on the tips. So for the middle finger, we applied a brown tip to break things up just a little bit. So we'll do that right here. And I also have a cute little gem or jewel or stone or whatever you want to call it. So we'll need that. Put that there. And I am still using the Wet n Wild nail polish as we did for the base coat to make that tip. And like I said, you can use guides at this point, but if you decide to use the guides, the first thing I would recommend to do is apply a layer off your top coat, which I am using the Big Matte tonight, and let that dry properly. Because if you try to use guides at this point, you're just going to pull off the image and the bottom of the guides, okay? So this is why I'm actually doing the tips before I go ahead and apply the top coat, and I'm not using guides, but you can feel free to do that. And I'll probably have to come back and do the tips again because this is the beige color I'm putting in, and it's probably going to bleed through. That green, that turquoise color is probably going to bleed through, so I'll have to come back and do a second coat. And as you could see, I did that tip right beneath that one little line there, like right here, right on this line. So we did that for that nail. And then for the index finger, we're also going to do a tip, but we're going back to the green. I pretty much kept this manicure in two simple colors tonight. I like the mixture of that colors, and it works really, really nice. So let's do that. And we'll come back and do a second coat before we apply the top coat because the colors can run through. And again, for the thumb now, instead of doing the nude color tips, I am actually going to go and do a green tip on the thumb. So in other words, we kind of kept one tip nude, one green, and so forth. So that's exactly what we're doing. The only two green that we have together is the thumb and the index finger. And again, I'm going right beneath that little line here and polishing that over. Quick and simple manicure tonight, not very hard. So let's go back now and apply a second layer of nail polish on those tips, because I don't know if you could see very well, but that blue is actually coming through on the nude color. So I'm going to go back now and do a second coat just to hide that a little, to conceal that blue from coming in. And that should do it. And we'll do the same for the turquoise color because we don't want to see any spots from the nude base that we've used. So here we go again. And one more time, we'll do that on the thumb. And I'm going to actually give this a 5 minutes just to let the colors set in very well before we apply the matte, because if you go ahead and apply it too early, it can actually kind of run and pull the colors down. My thumb actually did that. If you could see this, it's a little bit ruined, but I kept it anyway and just doing the whole thing. So let me just avoid that this time and hold on for about a couple minutes and I'll be right back with you, okay? Alright, my love, so I have waited about, give or take about 4 minutes, and it seems to be dry enough that we can actually go ahead and move on. So now I'm just going to peel my latex off because I don't want the stuff to fall back on the top coat after we do that. So let me just take a quick second or two and peel that off. And I always tell you guys, I do recommend you remove that latex now before you apply the top coat, because that's how I learned myself. You know, did my manicure once and all the top coat and everything was applied, and then I took the latex out and all these little things on the latex fell right back on to the nail. So yeah, you kind of learn from trial and error. So that was one thing I learned. So all right, so we have the latex off now. We can go ahead and grab hold of the top coat. We'll do the rest of cleaning up after. And the top coat I'm using, as you saw tonight, is going to be as my big mat. And this is a really great top coat, as well, as you saw in the last video I put out with products that my must-have list. And I am also using my little tiny little jewel. If you can see that, it's the same color of the polish that I use for stamping. And I will be using this little guy who I forgot to actually list on the video that I made last, but this is definitely the must-have. You heard me a million times talk about this little wax pencil, so that's gonna help me out to pick up that jewel. And how I'm gonna do this is apply the top coat, and it's the same application as you would do for the regular fast drying top coat or whatever you have. And I'll say it again, guys, bear with me. For those of you who watch my videos, I always repeat it for the people who never saw my videos before. So as we are applying the top coat, be very generous with the top coat on your brush, no matter if it's the matte or, you know, a fast drying top coat, whichever kind you use. Just be very generous on your first layer of top coat on your stamping image, because if you do not have the brush loaded, so to speak, it's going to drag the image and ruin the manicure. So first thing, have the brush loaded, don't skimp on that. Second thing is gently stroke over the nail. And third, try not to stroke over the same area twice, because that can also pull the nail polish and ruin it. And cap your nails at the end. That really does help to save your manicure. So here we go. So I am loading my brush again. And as you can see, I'm trying to avoid going over the same area twice. The tips you can go over because that's not really any polish. And then I'm going to cap it off. Capping your nails usually help me to have the manicure last a little longer. Instead of just a couple days, they tend to last a little longer from the tips going up. There's no chipping or wear and tear. And right away after we're done that, I am going to stick that jewel on. And I'm pretty much just putting that on the middle right here, and I'm pressing that down and securing it. You just want to press it into that polish so it's getting stuck in that polish as it's being dried. And then we'll come back and we'll put another layer of that matte coat on there. And as you can see, the matte coat's already starting to do its stuff and taking that shine off. So you could either leave the shine on, which would look like this if you're using a regular top coat, or you can do it matte, which I prefer for this manicure, and that's how it's going to look. So let's do the matte coat again and finish up the manicure. Cap your nails off. Then we have to just go in and do a fast cleanup for if there's anything around the fingers left. And that's it. So at this point, since we're done applying the top coat, we can go ahead and continue with the cleanup. So I do have just a little tiny bit of nail polishes that I don't want on there. You can probably not even see it, but like stuff like this I don't want on here. There's even a little tiny piece of latex, and that's where the little brush and some acetone comes in handy. So let me do that quickly. Clean up around there and make sure everything is nice and lined up. This one's okay. This one I'm not too happy with. So just go in and be very careful when you're doing this, guys. You don't want to hit the side walls of your nail and ruin your manicure. So be very, very careful when you are cleaning up. That's one reason I like to use the latex, because it prevents a lot of the cleaning up. But you still have to go in and, you know, line things up a little better and keep it neat, so to speak. So that's pretty much it for this manicure, except I'm now going to go back and apply another layer of the top coat on this one. And being that this jewel has a little shine on it, I am not going to go over it, which I usually do. I actually went over it with this one and it took the shine off, so I'm not seeing that. So I am going to go around it, and again, be very generous with the top coat, the matte coat, but except you're going to go around the jewel and kind of just put a lot of polish around it to secure it in. And again, be very careful. You don't want to have too much polish dragging all over and pulling that image out, messing it up. But now I've pretty much locked it in by putting more of the top coat around it and securing it in. And that will complete the manicure. So just take a look at these close-ups of it where you could see it better, and I'll be right back. And here it is, guys. This is the finished manicure, and it's like I said, it's like a turquoise green and nude for you today. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, if you have any questions, always feel free to write to me. I will answer them as best as I can and as fast as I can. And thank you all so very much for popping by and watching my videos. It is much appreciated. Take care now and have a great day. Bye now.